Hey, shalom everybody. This is student of YHWH. Student of YHWH just back at it with another quick video. And I just wanted to do a quick lesson entitled Are Mormons Twisting Ezekiel chapter 37? Again, are Mormons twisting Ezekiel chapter 37? And I'm doing this video for a few reasons. The first reason why I'm doing this video is because the truth must prevail. The truth must prevail, and we must blot out all falsehood and all lies on the Bible. So we must defend the Bible. We must defend the Word. Far and foremost, we must defend the Word. So if somebody lying on the Bible, we must defend the Bible. We must defend it and back it up, because we are Bible believers. That's the first reason why I'm doing this. The second reason is because I came across a couple Mormons a few years ago, and I asked them, is the Book of Mormon in the Bible? Or is the Book of Mormon prophesied that it will one day come in the Bible? And these Mormons took me to Ezekiel chapter 37 and 15, and they also read verse 16, where it says that one stick and another stick will become as one. And these Mormons said that the one stick is the Bible, and the other stick it talks about is the Book of Mormon, and these two sticks is going to become as one. So what I did was, I kept reading, because the Bible always breaks down the Bible, right? Precept upon precept, line upon line. It says that in the book of Isaiah, I believe chapter 28. So what I did was, I kept reading. And it explains what Ezekiel chapter 37 was talking about. It explained what the two sticks represented. It explains it. It explains it clearly. So these Mormons, they couldn't back up their claim. They couldn't go into the Hebrew. They couldn't go into a dictionary. They couldn't do anything to back up their claim. So why are they still holding to that doctrine? Because they're just believing what a man taught them, or what somebody taught them. They're just believing and teaching what somebody taught them, instead of believing in the Word and believing in the Scriptures. And another reason why I'm doing this video is because I asked that same question in a Facebook group. I believe the group is called Mormonism Discussion, or the Mormon Discussion, something like that. And I asked that same question, and quite a few people said the same thing, that they believe that Ezekiel chapter 37 and 15 on down is talking about the Book of Mormon and the Bible becoming as one. And I did the same thing. I kept reading, and I showed them what the Bible clearly states what the two sticks represented. They actually believed it, but they said that, well, there's also symbolism to it. There's also symbolism to it. And in Ezekiel chapter 37, it didn't talk about some type of other type of symbolism or anything like that. It clearly stated what it was talking about. So they're adding to the Word. They're using their own private interpretation. They're twisting Ezekiel chapter 37 to uphold their viewpoint, instead of letting the Bible speak for itself. So, like in all my videos, I read from the ISR version. It's called the Scriptures translation. Again, it's called the Scriptures translation. It's a great translation. I recommend everybody out there to look into it. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off in Ezekiel chapter 37, of course. And let's prove, without any shadow of a doubt, what Ezekiel chapter 37 is talking about. So, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37. And we're going to read verse 15 and 16. This is Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 15. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, And you, son of man, take a stick for yourself and write on it, for Yahudah and for the children of Israel and his companions. You see that? So the Most High Yahuwah clearly stated to Ezekiel to write on this stick. What are you supposed to write? It says it right here. For Yehudah or Judah and the children of Israel, his companion. That's what Ezekiel was supposed to write on this stick. Let's keep reading. Then take another stick and write on it. For Yosef, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. So that's what Ezekiel is supposed to write on the other stick. Plain and simple. For Yosef, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. So he was supposed to write these things on the stick. Did it say write the Book of Mormon? Did it say that that the Book of Mormon or another book will eventually come into existence and it will be with the Bible? Did it say that? It didn't say anything like that. It clearly stated what the Most High wanted Ezekiel to write on these sticks. It didn't say anything about the Book of Mormon. Ezekiel wasn't even thinking about the Book of Mormon at this time or any time. It clearly stated what he was supposed to write on these sticks. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into the Hebrew and let's look up this word stick. Is this word stick talking about a book? Let's see what this word stick is. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go into my eSword, and an eSword, this is an eSword, and the eSword is the Bible with all the Hebrew and Greek words connected to it. So what I can do here on my eSword, I can look up the word stick in Ezekiel chapter 37 and 16, and it'll show me the Hebrew word there, what was there before the English translation. Let's see if this word means book or some type of scroll. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37 verse 16. Let's look up this word stick. This word stick is the Hebrew word 6086. It's the Hebrew word 6086. It means a tree, hence wood. That's what it means. This word stick means a tree, hence wood. It means a tree, hence wood. It didn't say a book there, brothers and sisters. It says a tree, hence wood. Sticks are on trees. Plain and simple. It's not talking about a book. Right? But let's back it up even more. What we're going to do here is, let's go to 2 Kings. We're going to go to 2 Kings. We're going to go to 2 Kings chapter 6 verse 1. And we're going to go back to Ezekiel chapter 37. But what I want to do here is, I want to get that same word stick. That same word stick in Ezekiel chapter 37. I want to get that same word stick and find it in another place to even prove more what that word stick means. Letting the Bible break down the Bible. This is 2 Kings chapter 6 verse 1 through 7. And the sons of the prophets said to Elisha, See, the place where we dwell with you is too small for us. So, see that? So, they saying that the place is too small for us. Verse 2, Please, let us go to the Yarden, and let every man take a log from there, and let us make there a dwelling place. And he answered, go. So you see that? So it says, let every man take a log from there. So they're going to build a bigger place so they can live in. Let's go to verse 3. Then the one said, please undertake to go with your servants. And he answered, I shall go. And he went with them, and they came to the garden, and they cut down trees. They're cutting down trees. Why? That's how they made houses back then. That's how they made houses back then. From trees. Right? And you still see that today. So it says in verse 4, and he went with them, and they came to the garden, and they cut down trees. Verse 5. And it came to be, as one was cutting down a tree, that the iron axe head fell into the water, and he cried out and said, oh my master, for it was borrowed. So they had an iron axe, and it was cutting down what? Trees, right? Cutting down trees, and the iron axe fell into the water. Let's go to verse 6. And the man of Elohim said, where did it fall? And he showed him the place. And he cut off a stick and threw it in there and made the iron float. So it says that he cut off a stick. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go back into our eastward. And now what we're going to do here, let's go to 2 Kings on here. Same thing we'll just read in chapter 6. And let's do some investigation here. Let's do some investigation here. When you go to 2 Kings chapter 6, and when you read verse 4, let's read that again. 2 Kings chapter 6 verse 4. And he went with them, and they came to the garden, and they cut down trees. Now when you go into the King James Version, it says they cut down wood. Let's look up that word wood or trees in the Hebrew. It's the same Hebrew word. 6086. It's the same Hebrew word that was in Ezekiel chapter 37 for stick. It's the same Hebrew word. It means a tree, hence wood. You see that? So that's what the word stick means in Ezekiel chapter 37. When you compare it to other verses, it's just talking about a stick, a tree, wood. That's what it's clearly talking about. And as 2 Kings chapter 6, it was clearly talking about them getting a bigger place. They needed wood. They was cutting down what? A tree. So this is clearly talking about a tree or wood. Just like Ezekiel chapter 37. That same word for stick is in 2 Kings chapter 6. And it's talking about a tree. That's what it's talking about. So now what we're going to do here, let's get another precept. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3. Let's prove even more that this stick is talking about something on a tree or wood. It's not talking about a book. It's not talking about a scroll. Those are different Hebrew words. So let's prove even more that that same word stick is also in Genesis chapter 3 verse 1. And it says, and the serpent was more crafty than all the lives of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said to the woman, is it true that Elohim has said, do not eat of every tree of the garden? So that word tree, when you look it up, in the Hebrew, it's the same Hebrew word for stick, just like in Ezekiel chapter 37. So that word stick in Ezekiel chapter 37 is not talking about a book. It's talking about an actual literal stick. That's what it's talking about. This is plain and simple. Again, I'm letting the Bible break down the Bible. Let's get one more precept to prove that this is talking about a literal stick. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 11. We're taking it back to the beginning. This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 11. And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, the plant that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit, according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth. And it came to be so. So, when you see that there, it says, let the earth bring forth grass, the plant that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind. Now, this is plain and simple. These things in Genesis chapter 11 grow on what? Trees, right? It says the plant that yields seed and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind. So when you look up that word tree, it's the same Hebrew word. Let's prove it. Don't believe me? Let's prove it. Genesis chapter 1 verse 11 in the Hebrew. That same word in Ezekiel chapter 37 for stick is the same word in Genesis chapter 3 verse 1. It also is the same word in Genesis chapter 1 and 11. The Hebrew word 86. A tree, hence wood. The same word in Ezekiel. I know I keep saying that, but I got to. That same word in Ezekiel for stick, it's the same word in these different verses, which is talking about an actual stick. So now what we're going to do here is, let's go to Numbers chapter 17, right? This is Numbers chapter 17. Now, somebody posted this verse to try to back up that, hey, Ezekiel chapter 37, it can mean a book, because in Numbers chapter 17 is talking about a book. Well, is Numbers chapter 17 actually talking about a book? Let's see. Let's go to Numbers chapter 17, verse 1. Let's see what this is actually talking about. This is talking about an actual book in Numbers chapter 17. And that's the only precept or verse that I saw somebody come with to try to back up their point that the Book of Mormon is a stick in Ezekiel 37. So what we're going to do here is, let's go to Numbers chapter 17 verse 1. We're going to read verse 1 through 8. It says, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and take from them a rod from each father's house, all their leaders according to their father's house, 12 rods. Write each one name on his rod. Plain and simple. Every house, everybody got to write their name on a rod, right? So what we're going to do here is, let's go to Numbers chapter 17. Let's look up this word rod. We got to what? Study to show ourselves approved unto the Most High. So when we look up this word rod, right? Let's see here. When we look up this word rod, it's the Hebrew word 4294. It means a branch. Then it says figuratively a tribe, also a rod. Then it says, there we go. Then it says, or walking, a staff, figuratively a support of life. For example, bread, rod, staff, tribe, right? So that is a rod. It's like a staff. But what we're going to do here, is going to break down what this rod is. So let's keep reading here. Let's read verse 2 again. Speak to the children of Israel, and take from them a rod from each father's house, and their leaders according to their father's houses, 12 rods. Write each one's name on his rod. So they had to write their names on the rod, just like Ezekiel chapter 37, where it says, write this on it on one stick and write this on the other stick. Same thing. I agree, right? It's talking about writing on this rod. But is this talking about a book, or is it talking about a branch, right? Or some type of stick, like we just read in the Hebrew, and it says branch, right? That's what the rod is. But let's keep reading. The Bible's going to break down the Bible. Verse 3, and write Aaron's name on the rod of Levi, for there is one rod for the head of each father's house. Right? So it says, and write Aaron's name on the rod of Levi. See that? So Aaron's name was on the rod. They're writing something on his rod, right? According to the Hebrew, it's a branch. They're writing on this branch. Let's keep reading. Verse 4. You shall then place them in the tent of appointment before the witness where I meet with you. And it shall be that the rod of the man whom I choose buds, and I shall rid myself of the grumblings of the children of Israel, which they grumble against you. So the Most High is going to choose whatever rod that buds. Let's keep reading. And verse 6, and Moshe spoke to the children of Israel, and all their leaders gave him a rod each, for each leader according to their father's houses, 12 rods. And the rod of Aaron was among their rods. Verse 7, so Moshe placed the rods before Yahuwah in the tents of the witness. Verse 8, and it came to be on the next day that Moshe went into the tent of the witness and saw that the rod of Aaron of the house of Levi had budded and brought forth buds and blossomed and bore ripe almonds. Do books do that? Do books bud? Do books blossom? Let's look up this word here. Let's look up the word blossom in Numbers. Let's look up this word blossom in Numbers chapter 17. Let's look up this word blossom in Numbers chapter 17. Let's see here. Let's see what this word blossom means here. It's the Hebrew. There we go. This is the Hebrew word 6731. It says properly, glistening, that is a burnished plate. Also a flower as bright colored, a wing as gleaming in the air, blossom, flower, plate, wing. So in Numbers chapter 17, that's talking about a branch that blossomed. This is clear as day. Let me give you an example on how the rod looks. This is a rod. This is a rod blossoming. It's not a book, brothers and sisters. Books don't blossom. They don't have flowers or anything in that. They don't create almonds. Plain and simple. So in Numbers chapter 17, that has nothing to do with a book. Clear as day, it's talking about a branch, like it says in the Hebrew, and something that blossoms. A book does not blossom. That's false interpretation of the scriptures. This is just clear as day. So now what we're going to do here is, because pretty much almost done, let's go back to Ezekiel chapter 37 and let's finish it off, because the Bible is going to break down the Bible, right? So let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37 and 15. And we're going to keep reading. But what I want to do is actually, I want to go back to Numbers chapter 17 really quick. And I just want to read verse 8 again. And it came to be on the next day that Moshe went into the tent of the witness and saw that the rod of Aaron of the house of Levi had budded and brought forth buds and blossomed and bore ripe almonds. Nothing to do with a book. It's talking about a branch. That's plain and simple. So let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37. Let's finish this off. Again, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37. And 15. And we're going to read through verse 24. This is Ezekiel chapter 37 and 15. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, and you, son of man, take a stick for yourself and ride on it. We prove without any shadow of a doubt what that word stick means. It's an actual literal stick. It says, for Yehuda and the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and ride on it. For Yosef, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. That's what Ezekiel is supposed to ride on, these sticks. Verse 17. Then bring them together for yourself into one stick, and there shall become one in your hand. So these two sticks is going to become one in his hand. Right? Again, actual literal sticks. We prove that without any shadow of a doubt. Verse 18. And when the children of your people speak to you, saying, won't you show us what you mean by these? So what Mormons do, they only read verse 15 and 16, also 17, and they close the book and be like, all right, I'll see you later, sir. Have a good one. Have a good one, ma'am. And they'll leave. But it says that the children of Israel, of the people, please show us what this means. Please show us what this means. So it's going to explain what the meaning behind the two sticks are. Let me read that again. Verse 18. And when the children of your people speak to you, saying, the children of your people, which who are the children of Israel, won't you show us what you mean by these? They're going to be asking Ezekiel, what you mean by this? Two sticks becoming as one. They're one in your hand. Two literal sticks. Well, the Bible's going to break down the Bible. The same thing I showed in the Facebook group. The same thing I showed personally to these two Mormons years ago. It's going to explain what it means by these two sticks. It says, won't you show us what you mean by these? It's going to clearly show you what these two sticks represent and the meaning behind the two sticks becoming as one. Verse 19. Say to them, thus said the Master Yahuwah, see, I am taking the stick of Yosef, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his companions, and I shall give them unto him, with the stick of Yehuda, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in my hand. Remember, he was supposed to write those things on each stick, right? They're going to become one in this hand, right? Verse 20. And the sticks on which you write shall be in your hand before their eyes. Verse 21. And speak to them. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, see, I am taking the children of Israel from among the nations, wherever they have gone, and shall gather them from all around, and I shall bring them into their land. Verse 22. And I shall make them one nation in the land on the mountain of Israel. That's what it's talking about. It's talking about when the 12 tribes split. I believe it was in 930 BC when the tribes split. You can read that in 1 Kings And you can read that in 2 Kings. You can read that in the dictionary, the encyclopedia. This is history. Mormons are ignoring history. They're blotting out history. This is history right here, brothers and sisters. That the Most High is going to gather the children of Israel into one nation. Because they didn't follow the Most High, they broke the Most High commandments, they split. You had 10 tribes go one way, then you had 2 tribes go another way. And sometimes Levi was mixed into both. So you had about 9 to 10 tribes go one way, and you had about 2 to 3 tribes go another way. This is clear history here. Let's go to verse 22 again. And I shall make them one nation. That's how they're going to be one in their hand, in his hand, being one nation. And the land on the mountain of Israel, and one king shall be king over them all, and let them no longer be 2 nations. You see that? That's what the sticks represents. It's representing what? Nations. That's what it's representing. So Ezekiel had literal what? Literal sticks. And these sticks represented the nations. That's why he had to write these things on a stick. And they're representing the nations coming as one. Not a book, brothers and sisters. Not a book. Not a scroll. It's talking about nations. It clearly explains what the sticks represents. And it clearly states what the Most High was talking about. It says, and let them no longer be 2 nations, and let them no longer be divided into 2 kingdoms. This is plain and simple, brothers and sisters. Plain and simple. Also, let's read verse 23 and 24. And they shall no longer defile themselves with their idols, nor with their disgusting matters, nor with any of their transgressions. And I shall save them from all their dwelling places in which they have sinned, and I shall cleanse them, and they shall be my people, and I be their Elohim. Verse 24. While David my servant is king over them, and they shall all have one shepherd, and walk in my right rulings, and guard my laws, and shall do them. Plain and simple. Ezekiel chapter 37 is not talking about a book. The Most High clearly stated what it was talking about. He explained it. Numbers chapter 17. I believe Numbers chapter 17 about the rod. That is not talking about a book. That is actually talking about literal sticks or a branch as well. And with that, the truth has been revealed, and peace.